Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. The world of the day slowly drifts away, like sand carried downstream by a gentle river. What remains is the soft darkness of night and the quiet murmur of a story whispered into your ear. If you find it hard to fall asleep, if your mind is still spinning with the worries of the day, let this story lift you, carrying you back to another age, to a time when a boy would grow to become one of the greatest names in all of history. Alexander. Tonight, you will live through his journey, not as a distant observer, but as though you are walking right beside him, moving through palaces, across battlefields, and into the dreams of the past. If you stay with me, you will see that history is not dry, not distant. It becomes a vast, woven tapestry, soft and alive, made from the glow of campfires, the sound of horses' hooves, and the whispers of mountain winds. You will see Alexander not only as a king, but as a young boy, a son, a student, carrying within him a dream that stretched far beyond the borders of his small homeland. You will feel the moonlight touching his hair while he listens to his mother's stories of Achilles. You will catch the faint scent of old parchment and ink as he studies with Aristotle in a quiet grove where every falling leaf feels like a secret being told. And as you drift deeper into the story, you may notice that the rhythm of time itself begins to rock you gently towards sleep. I promise you this: if you listen to the end, you will receive a gift. Hidden within the journey of Alexander is a secret, a timeless anchor that has lasted thousands of years. Somewhere in the middle of this path, I will give you a small clue, and when we reach the end, I will reveal the answer. Not only about history, but also about your own dreams, about how a young man once turned humanity's restlessness into an eternal dream. If this story brings you even a little peace, gently tap like, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a small note. Tell me where you are listening from and what time of night it is for you. Maybe you are lying in a small room in the city of New York, where the sound of car horns still echoes faintly outside your window. Or maybe you are far away, in a place where only wind and waves keep you company. Let me know where you are, because every comment you leave shines like a tiny light in the long night. I will read them, and in doing so, I will be connected with you. Now, let your mind drift. Imagine yourself walking along the stone-paved streets of Pella, where the first light of dawn touches the palace walls. You hear birds singing. You smell the damp earth after the night's rain. And in the distance, you see a small boy crouching, watching the trail of ants, imagining them as an army. That boy will become Alexander the Great. And you are there beside him, at the very beginning of a journey that will shape the world. Chapter 1. The Origins in Pella. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders soften as the tension of the day slowly begins to dissolve. Imagine yourself lying on soft linen, the kind that holds the faint scent of sunlight after drying in the open air. The night is calm, and outside your window the world is quiet. You are safe, and you are ready to drift into another time. Tonight, I will take you back more than 2,000 years to a small kingdom in the northern reaches of Greece, a place called Macedon. You will not only hear about it, you will feel it. You will stand upon its stones, breathe its mountain air, and sense the footsteps of a boy who would grow into a legend. The city is Pella, the royal capital. The year is 356 before the Common Era. Imagine walking along narrow stone streets at dawn. The air is cool, filled with the fragrance of olive groves and distant pines. You can hear a faint trickle of water from a courtyard fountain, and the soft murmurs of servants. Somewhere in the distance, a horse stamps its hooves against the ground, impatient, as if it senses the weight of destiny already stirring. In a chamber deep within the palace walls, a child has just been born. His name is Alexander, and tonight, you are there, beside him, at the beginning of his journey. The palace is not as polished as the temples of Athens, or as grand as the marble of Sparta. It is rougher, built of stone that carries the scent of earth, made strong rather than beautiful. Macedon is a land of warriors, where men ride across vast plains with spears gleaming in the sun, and where children grow up learning that life is not a game, but a test. You step through the colonnades of the palace, and feel the cool touch of stone beneath your bare feet. The voices of women echo softly, carrying songs of welcome for the newborn child. Candles flicker against the walls, shadows dancing as if whispering secrets that only time will reveal. You lean closer to the cradle. You see the infant's tiny hands curl and stretch, as if reaching toward something unseen. From the very first breath, the world seems to pause. Outside, the morning wind shifts, and a flock of birds takes flight in sudden unison. Even the air holds its breath, as though it knows that this small child will carry a destiny that will shake the earth. The boy's father is Philip II, King of Macedon. You can picture him, tall, broad-shouldered, his eyes sharp and calculating. He is a man who took a kingdom that was weak, divided, mocked by the Greeks of the south, and he forged it into steel. He built an army like no other, men who carried long spears in unbroken walls, moving like a single creature across the battlefield. This invention, the phalanx, turned Macedon from a forgotten frontier into the rising power of the Greek world. But Philip is more than just a conqueror. He is a dreamer. He imagines a Greece no longer torn apart by petty rivalries, no longer at war with itself. He dreams of uniting the Greeks against a common foe, the great Persian Empire that stretches across the world, from the shores of the Aegean Sea to the mountains of India. As you stand in the palace garden, listening to the rustle of olive leaves in the breeze, you sense this dream, like a flame that will one day pass from father to son. Now imagine the child growing. You watch him play among the fountains and olive trees of the palace garden. Other children run with wooden toys, but Alexander lies on his stomach in the grass, studying the movement of ants. He does not see them as insects, but as armies. You kneel beside him, and together you watch tiny columns march with precision, carrying fragments of leaves like shields, climbing obstacles like soldiers taking a fortress. In his mind, Alexander is already commanding legions, already dreaming of battles that will one day echo across continents. His mother, Olympus, enters the garden. She is fierce, her dark eyes burning with pride and belief. She tells her son that he is descended from Achilles, the greatest hero of the Trojan War. She fills his nights with stories of gods and warriors, of Heracles lifting the world on his shoulders, of heroes who chose glory over life itself. You sit nearby, the warm light of the fire glowing across the walls, listening as her voice softens into a whisper. In your dreams, my son, you will hear the footsteps of your ancestors. You carry their strength within your heart. Her words linger in the air, wrapping around you as though they are meant for you as much as for the boy at her side. Alexander listens. His eyes shine with the reflection of firelight. He believes her. In that moment, you can almost feel the weight of destiny pressing gently upon him, shaping him, guiding him. Perhaps you feel it pressing upon you too, as though the stories of gods and heroes are not far away at all, but are alive within every heartbeat. As Alexander grows older, his father summons a teacher unlike any other. The philosopher Aristotle arrives, carrying scrolls and instruments, a mind filled with knowledge of the stars, the body, and the soul. Imagine walking through a quiet grove near Mieza, where Aristotle establishes his school. The air smells of pine and wild herbs. The sound of leaves rustling overhead is soft, like the turning of pages in a book. You sit among the students. You listen as Aristotle speaks, his voice calm and steady. He does not merely teach facts, but connections. The movement of stars and the rhythm of tides. The choices of a king and the fate of a nation. Alexander absorbs every word like thirsty soil drinking in the rain. He reads Homer's Iliad as if it is not a story but a guidebook, a map of glory and tragedy. You sit beside him as he traces the words with his finger, his eyes lingering on the deeds of Achilles. You can almost hear his thoughts. One day, I will walk in these footsteps. One day, my story will be sung. As the years pass, Philip's kingdom grows stronger. The phalanx marches south, city after city bending under Macedonian power. You follow Alexander, now a young man, onto the battlefield at Chirona. The air is thick with dust. Horses snort and paw the earth. The enemy stands ready. The armies of Athens and Thebes gathered together, determined to resist. Alexander rides with the companion cavalry, his body trembling not with fear, but with the hunger to prove himself. You feel the heat of the sun pressing down, the smell of leather and sweat, the metallic tang of iron. And then, with a cry that slices through the chaos, Alexander leads the charge. Time slows. You see the dust rise as hooves pound the earth. You hear the clash of spears against shields, the shouts of men. And through it all, you sense Alexander. Not as a boy anymore, but as something more. A figure who belongs to history. When the battle is over, Philip embraces his son, tears of pride on his face. Today, he says, you have proven yourself worthy of your name. You feel the weight of those words as though they were spoken to you as well. A reminder that within each of us lies the power to rise beyond expectation. But destiny is never gentle. In the palace halls, under flickering torchlight, Philip is struck down by an assassin's blade. The great king falls, and the world trembles. You stand beside Alexander as he kneels beside his father's body. Around you the air feels heavy, filled with whispers of betrayal and the sharp scent of blood. The nobles mutter of civil war, of enemies ready to strike. But in Alexander's eyes, you see no hesitation. Something awakens within him. He is no longer merely a son or a student. He is a king. He is the bearer of a dream larger than any single life. You step out into the night. Above you, the stars wheel in their eternal dance, indifferent to human grief. But if they could see what you see now, they would shiver. For in this moment, the greatest conqueror in human history is born. The boy who played with ants has become the man who will shape the world. The winds that once carried his laughter now carry something heavier, something destined to echo across time. And as you stand there, breathing in the cool night air, you realize that this story is not just about Alexander. It is about dreams, about destiny, about the way one life can ripple outward across centuries. You feel the calm spread through your chest. You are part of this journey now. You are walking beside him, step by step, across the pages of history. Breathe deeply. Let the sounds fade. The story will carry you further. You are safe here, drifting deeper, deeper, into the gentle river of time. Chapter 2. The Father, Philip II. Settle deeper into your pillow. Let your breath slow. Let your body feel heavier with each exhale. Imagine that you are still in ancient Macedon, the torches of the palace flickering in the dark corridors, the marble floors cool beneath your bare feet. The story is waiting for you, flowing like a river that carries you onward. Tonight you will walk beside a king whose shadow loomed large over his son's destiny. His name is Philip II, the father of Alexander. To understand the son, we must step into the life of the father, a man of ambition, brilliance, and dreams that were too vast to be contained by his own years. The air in Macedon is sharp, carrying the smell of pine from the mountains and salt from the sea. The land is rugged, not like the polished elegance of southern Greece. Athens and Sparta often mocked Macedon as a land of rough accents and half-barbarian kings. But Philip saw what others did not. He saw strength in the hills, resilience in the farmers, and fierce loyalty in the horsemen who rode across the plains. You walk with him now, in the stillness of dawn, as he surveys his army. The men stand in formation, their long spears, sarissas, glistening with dew. The sound of armor shifting, of horses breathing, fills the air like a low heartbeat. You feel it vibrate in your chest. Philip was not born into peace. When he took the throne in 359 before the Common Era, Macedon was fragile, torn by enemies on all sides. Tribes from the north pressed hard against its borders, while the city-states of Greece looked down with disdain. The kingdom was fractured, its armies weakened. Many thought Philip would be the last Macedonian king, a man destined to preside over ruin. But as you stand beside him, you can sense the fire in his mind, the unshakable belief that weakness could be reshaped into power. He began with the army. He forged it into something the world had never seen. He gave his soldiers sarissas so long that no enemy spear could reach them first. He trained them to move as one, each man a part of a living wall of bronze and iron. Imagine watching the phalanx advance. The earth trembles beneath their synchronized steps. The points of their spears catch the morning sun, turning into a shimmering forest of steel. To stand before it would be to stand before inevitability itself. And yet Philip was not content with strength alone. He used gold and silver as weapons, bribing rivals, forging alliances, bending politics to his will with the same precision as he bent armies. Picture him at a feast in the capital, his one good eye gleaming because, yes, Philip lost an eye to war, and the scar only made him more formidable. He lifts a cup of wine, his voice strong, and around him nobles fall silent, listening. His words weave promises, threats, and visions of a united Greece. He speaks of Persia, that vast empire beyond the sea, rich with treasures, heavy with decadence. He tells them that one day Greece will march eastward, not divided into feuding city-states, but united under one banner, his banner. As he speaks, you feel it too, the stirring of a dream that seems to rise like smoke into the night. You walk with him again, this time through the palace gardens where young Alexander plays. Philip watches his son closely. There is pride in his eyes, but also something else, something weightier. He knows that his life will not be enough to fulfill the dream he carries. It will need another to complete it. He sees in Alexander not just a child, but the vessel of a future greater than his own. Sometimes, as the boy studies insects or recites verses of Homer, Philip says nothing, only watches in silence. Perhaps he wonders if the gods themselves have placed something extraordinary in the hands of his family. But dreams are not built without blood. You follow Philip into battle, the sound of shouting men and clashing steel echoing through the valley. The phalanx pushes forward, shields locked, spears thrusting like waves breaking upon the shore. Philip rides at the front, his cloak whipping in the wind, his horse pounding across the field. Dust stings your eyes, the metallic tang of blood fills your nose, and through it all you hear his voice shouting commands, steady and unwavering. Battle after battle, he bends enemies to his will. Slowly, Macedon becomes not a laughingstock, but a power to be feared. Yet Philip is more than a soldier. At night, after the noise of the day fades, you find him alone in his chambers, maps spread out across the table. His fingers trace the outlines of the Persian Empire, the rivers, the mountains, the cities glittering like jewels. His candle burns low, wax dripping slowly like the sands of an hourglass. In the silence you hear him whisper, almost as if to himself, of a dream, to cross the Hellespont, to bring the Greeks not only freedom from Persian interference, but glory beyond imagining. He does not know if his time will be enough, but he prepares the path. And as you watch him, you realize that you are witnessing the shaping of a vision that will one day belong to his son. But even kings are mortal. You walk again through the palace halls. The air smells of oil lamps and sweet wine. Music drifts faintly from a nearby banquet. It is the day of his daughter's wedding, a celebration filled with joy and laughter. Yet in the midst of festivity, death slips silently into the room. An assassin strikes. In an instant, the great king falls, his lifeblood spilling onto the stones. Shouts rise, chaos explodes, and the dream he carried seems to flicker like a candle in the wind. You kneel beside him. His body is still, his eyes unseeing. Around you, nobles whisper of civil war, of enemies who will now descend like wolves. But somewhere in the distance you hear another sound, the steady, unwavering beat of footsteps. It is Alexander, stepping forward into the void left by his father. The dream has not died. It has only shifted. It has only passed from one soul to another. As you breathe deeply now, feel the weight of this moment. Philip's life was one of struggle, one of vision, one of building something that would outlast him. His armies were strong, his politics sharp. But above all, it was his dream that endures. He saw further than most men dared to see. And even in death, he gave his son the foundation to step beyond the limits of one kingdom and into the realm of legend. Now let your breath soften. Feel the stillness in your chest. Imagine the torchlight dimming, the noise of the palace fading, until only the gentle sound of the wind remains. You are drifting deeper into the story, deeper into the current of time. You are safe, carried gently across centuries. Ahead lies the path of Alexander. a path lit by the fire of his father's dream. Chapter 3. Olympias, the Mother. Close your eyes again. Feel the weight of the night pressing softly around you. The story drifts forward like a slow river. And now we walk not with a king, but with a queen. Her name is Olympias. She is the mother of Alexander. And though his father gave him an army, she gave him something perhaps more powerful. She gave him fire. She gave him belief. She gave him the conviction that he was destined not only to live, but to live as a legend. Picture her now, moving through the palace at Pella. The corridors are lined with flickering oil lamps, their smoke curling upward like whispers to the gods. Her steps are measured, quiet but strong. She wears robes of deep color, crimson and purple, and in her dark eyes burns a light that never fades. You feel it as you walk beside her, a kind of intensity that makes the air seem charged, as though every word she speaks is carved with purpose. Olympias was not a woman to be ignored. She claimed descent from heroes, from Achilles himself, and she carried this lineage not as a story, but as truth. When she held her son in her arms, she did not see only a child. She saw the echo of gods. Imagine her sitting near the fire in the stillness of night. The flames crackle softly, casting warm orange light across the stone walls. She holds Alexander close, his small head resting against her shoulder, and she begins to tell him stories. Her voice is low, hypnotic, like the steady beating of a drum in the distance. Achilles ran swifter than the wind, she whispers, and his rage shook the walls of Troy. Heracles lifted the weight of the world upon his shoulders, and you, my son, carry their strength within your heart. The words linger, the flames flicker. You are sitting there too, listening, your eyelids heavy, your breathing deep. Her stories flow into you just as they flow into the boy at her side. Night after night, Olympias fills Alexander's dreams with visions of gods, heroes, and destinies carved in the stars. In the silence after her stories end, you hear the sound of crickets outside the palace, the gentle hum of the night. The boy closes his eyes, and in sleep he does not rest as an ordinary child. He marches in dream armies, he fights beside Achilles, he sees himself standing where gods once walked. Olympias does not give him comfort. She gives him the weight of immortality. And even in your heart, as you listen, you feel the faint tremor of destiny brushing against your own soul. But Olympias is not only a mother of myths. She is a woman of fierce will, caught in the storms of politics, betrayal, and ambition. You follow her into the temple where incense rises in curling smoke. The scent is strong, sharp with resin and herbs. Priests chant in low tones, their voices echoing in the vaulted chamber. She kneels before the altar, her hands raised to the gods, her eyes burning with devotion. For Olympias, the divine is not distant, it is immediate, it is alive. She believes that the gods walk among mortals, guiding, shaping, whispering. She believes that Alexander is touched by them, chosen for something that no one else can achieve. Sometimes, when the palace grows quiet and the courtyards fall into shadow, she speaks to Alexander not as a mother but as a priestess. She tells him of serpents that coil around destiny, of omens that flicker in the flame of lamps, of stars that move not by chance, but by design. You stand nearby, the cool night air brushing your skin, listening as her words weave a spell. It is not the kind of teaching that Aristotle will give him, grounded in reason and philosophy. It is something deeper, something older, something that speaks not to the mind, but to the soul. And Alexander believes. How could he not? The warmth of her hand, the certainty in her voice, the fire in her eyes. These are more than stories. They are truths that root themselves in his heart. He grows not only with knowledge of the world, but with the unshakable conviction that he is meant for greatness. Olympus has planted within him the seed of destiny, and it takes root in the soil of his imagination. You walk with her again, this time in the garden. The moon is full, silver light washing over olive leaves and stone. The air smells of earth and blossoms, cool and damp with evening dew. She leads her son through the paths, speaking softly of signs in the heavens. She points to the stars, her hand tracing constellations. There, she says, is where the gods look down upon us. They see you, my son. They know your name. Alexander tilts his head back, his eyes wide, his breath slow. You tilt your head too, and for a moment, you almost believe you can feel the stars watching, their ancient gaze pressing gently upon your skin. But Olympus's world is not only filled with stories and stars. It is filled with fire. She is a woman of passion, fierce in love, fierce in anger. You sense it in the way she moves, in the sharpness of her words when she feels betrayed. In the palace, she is both queen and storm. Some fear her. Others whisper about her rituals, her devotion to strange gods, her serpents that curl at her feet. But Alexander does not fear. For him, she is not only mother, but guide, the one who lights his path with flames drawn from the other world. When Philip plans alliances through marriage, Olympus rages. She feels the sting of betrayal, the threat to her son's future. You stand in the hall as her voice rises, fierce and unyielding, like the roar of a lioness protecting her cub. The tension hangs thick in the air. Servants retreat. Nobles avert their eyes. But Alexander watches. He sees his mother's fire, her refusal to bend. And though he may not speak, you know he carries that fire within him, tucked deep in his soul. Imagine the nights when Alexander lies in his chamber, the cool breeze drifting through open windows, the faint sound of crickets and distant horses filling the air. He closes his eyes, and the stories of Olympus come alive in his mind. He dreams of standing before Troy, of Achilles calling him brother, of gods whispering his name. He dreams not as a boy, but as a hero, already shaping the world. And you dream with him. The room fades, the centuries fade. Only the rhythm of breath remains, yours and his, in quiet unison. Olympus gave her son the gift of destiny, not the kind written on scrolls, but the kind burned into the soul. It is a gift that will carry him through battles, through deserts, through the halls of Persian palaces and the sands of Egyptian temples. It is a gift that whispers to him even in silence, reminding him that he is not like other men. And as you listen now, as you drift deeper into the calm of the night, you feel that whisper touch you too. Perhaps you are not meant to conquer empires. Perhaps your destiny is quieter, simpler. But Olympus's gift reaches across time. It tells you that within your own life, within your own heart, there is a fire that can never be extinguished. It tells you that you too are part of something larger, something that stretches beyond days and years. something that echoes through time. Breathe in slowly. Let the air fill your lungs, cool and steady. Breathe out gently. Feel the calm spread through your chest. Olympus fades into shadow now, her stories lingering in the air like smoke, her fire glowing softly within the boy who will become Alexander. The night holds you, wrapping you in stillness. The journey continues. You are safe. You are carried forward. Chapter 4. Aristotle, the teacher. Take a deep breath. Let your body sink deeper into the bed, your chest rising and falling with the rhythm of the night. The room around you grows quiet. The day has vanished, and only the soft pull of the story remains. We are still in Macedon, and now the path leads us to a teacher. His name is Aristotle, and though he will not march with Alexander into battle, though he will never ride at the head of a cavalry charge, his influence will travel with Alexander farther than any army. Tonight, you will walk beside him. Tonight, you will hear his voice as if it were speaking not only to the young prince, but to you as well. Imagine a quiet grove in the hills of Macedon, far from the bustle of the palace. The morning air is crisp, carrying the scent of pine needles and damp earth. You hear the gentle trickle of a stream nearby, and the faint chirp of birds in the branches above. The grove is alive, but it is not noisy. It is the kind of place where silence feels like a presence, a soft companion that waits for wisdom to be spoken. This is where Aristotle teaches. This is where Alexander learns. And this is where you find yourself now, sitting among the students, the cool grass beneath you, the sunlight filtering down in golden shafts. Aristotle stands before the group, his robes simple, his face marked with the calm lines of thought. His eyes are sharp, not cold, but deeply alive, seeing not just the world as it is, but the world as it could be. His voice is measured, steady, flowing like water over stone. Knowledge, he says, is the beginning of freedom. To understand the world, brushing against your skin. Alexander listens. His head tilts slightly, his expression intent. He is not restless, not impatient. For a boy who dreams of heroes in battle, he listens with surprising stillness. Perhaps it is because the stories of Olympus have prepared him for belief, and now Aristotle prepares him for reason. Between mother and teacher, Alexander's mind becomes a bridge between myth and logic, between fire and clarity. And you sit beside him, hearing the same words, feeling the same quiet transformation. Aristotle teaches of nature. He lifts a leaf from the ground, holding it up to the light. He shows the veins that carry life, the symmetry that repeats in the smallest and the greatest forms. He speaks of causes, of purposes, of the way every living thing moves toward its own fulfillment. The wind stirs, carrying his words deeper into your mind, as though they are truths you have always known, but forgotten until now. He teaches of the stars, the way they circle overhead in eternal patterns. You lie back in the grass, eyes turned upward, imagining the constellations wheeling in slow procession. You feel small, yet strangely comforted. as though your life too has its place in the great order of things. He teaches of the soul. He says it is not a single thing, but many layers, like the rings of a tree. There is the soul of growth, shared by plants, the soul of movement, shared by animals, and the soul of reason, unique to humankind. To live well, he tells his students, is to let reason guide desire, as a rider guides his horse. You glance at Alexander. His eyes shine with reflection, perhaps imagining himself as that rider, holding the reins not only of horses and armies, but of his own heart. You realize, listening now, that Aristotle is not merely teaching facts. He is teaching how to live. And then, one evening, as the sun slips low and the shadows lengthen across the grove, Aristotle leans closer to his pupils. His voice lowers, softer, more intimate. You feel the shift, the sense that something more than a lesson is about to be given. He speaks of mysteries, of truths too deep to be written plainly. He speaks of the golden mean, the balance between extremes, the place where virtue lives. Courage is not recklessness, nor is it cowardice. True courage lies between them. Generosity is not wastefulness, nor is it greed. True generosity lies between them. Every virtue, he says, is a harmony, like a string pulled neither too tight nor too loose. But then his voice grows quieter still. You lean in, your breath shallow, as though afraid to disturb the air. He speaks of a greater secret, a truth that even the bravest kings may never grasp. He says that beyond the balance of virtue lies something higher, something eternal, something that connects all things together. He does not name it. He does not explain it fully. He lets the silence hang. Alexander looks at him, eyes wide, wanting more. You feel it too, the hunger for the missing piece, the sense that a key has been placed in your hand, but the door it unlocks has not yet been shown. This is the anchor. This is the mystery. Aristotle smiles faintly, as though he knows the question burning inside his students. One day, he says softly, you will see. The words fall like a drop of water into stillness, rippling outward. The lesson ends. The grove returns to silence. But within you, within Alexander, something has been planted. A seed of curiosity, a promise of revelation. It will wait. It will grow. Night falls in the grove. The crickets begin their song, soft and steady. The air cools, carrying the scent of earth and pine. You lie beneath the stars, your body heavy, your mind quiet. Around you the students drift into sleep, their breathing even, their faces peaceful. Alexander lies beside you, his eyes still open, staring into the constellations. You can almost hear his thoughts, the way he measures himself against the heroes of the past, the way he wonders what it means to touch the eternal. He does not know yet, but he will. And you, carried by the same story, will discover it too. Let your breath deepen. Feel the weight of your body pressing into the bed. The story has become a river, carrying you onward, gentle and unhurried. You are safe. You are drifting. Aristotle's voice fades into memory, his wisdom settling like soft rain in the soil of your mind. Ahead lies the road of battles, of triumphs, of shadows. But for now, in this quiet grove, you are still. You are calm. You are part of the lesson. The night holds you. and the journey continues. Chapter 5. The Battle of Chirona. Breathe in slowly. Let the air fill your chest. Breathe out. And with each exhale, let the tension of your body melt away. The night is still. The world is quiet. The story carries you onward. Now, the boy who listened to myths from his mother and wisdom from his teacher has grown into a young man. He is not yet 20, yet the weight of destiny presses on him like a hand on his shoulder. The time has come for him to prove himself, not in gardens or in dreams, but on the field of war. The place is Chirona. The year is 338 before the Common Era. Tonight you are there. You will stand with him. You will feel the earth tremble beneath the march of thousands, and yet you will be safe, carried by the story, guided by the voice, resting deeper and deeper with every word. The morning air is cool but tense, heavy with expectation. You wake before dawn and step onto the plain. The grass is wet with dew, the ground firm beneath your feet. Across the valley, you see them, the armies of Athens and Thebes, united for once, determined to resist Macedon. Their banners flutter in the faint wind. Their armor gleams pale in the rising sun. They are proud, fierce, and desperate. For centuries they have thought of Macedon as lesser, as rough men from the hills. But today they face a king who, and beside him, his son stands ready. You turn and see Alexander. He is only 18, his face still young, his features not yet hardened by years of command. Yet his eyes are alive, burning with focus, steady as the edge of a blade. He sits astride his horse, the companion cavalry arrayed behind him. The animals snort and stamp, their breath rising in white clouds. The air smells of leather, of sweat, of iron. You hear the soft clink of armor, the creak of saddles, the distant rumble of voices. All of it blends into a low, steady hum, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Philip rides down the line, his voice carrying, commanding, assuring. He knows this battle will decide more than land. It will decide the future of Greece. And yet, he has not given his son a place in the shadows. He has placed him at the head of the cavalry, at the point where the battle will turn. It is a gift, but also a test. You feel the tension in your chest as the armies shift, shields locking into place, spears lowering, the phalanx stretching out like an endless wall of points. The sun climbs higher, lighting the plain in gold. For a moment, silence. The kind of silence that comes before storms, heavy, waiting, alive. And then, with a single shout, the world erupts, the phalanx advances. The sound is thunder shields banging, boots striking in perfect rhythm. The spears bristle like a field of wheat in the wind, but these stalks are tipped with death. Arrows arc overhead, hissing, falling into the earth with a soft thud. The Athenians respond with cries, their hoplites pushing forward, shields gleaming, voices raised in defiance. The battle has begun. You ride with Alexander now. The horse beneath you surges forward, muscles rippling, hooves pounding. The wind whips against your face. You grip the reins, feel the leather bite into your palm. Around you the cavalry charges as one, their lances angled, their armor flashing. The noise is overwhelming, yet inside you feel a strange calm. Every sound blurs together. The clash of bronze, the neighing of horses, the cries of men, until it becomes one long, steady wave. Alexander leads the charge into the Theban sacred band, the most feared warriors of Greece. They are men bound not only by oath, but by love, fighting with the strength of those who would die rather than see their companions fall. Yet Alexander does not hesitate. His voice rises, clear and sharp, cutting through the storm. His horse leaps forward, and you feel the shock of impact as lines collide, as metal meets metal, as bodies press and strain. The battle is chaos, but in Alexander's movements, you sense something different. He rides not as a boy, not even as a man, but as if guided by something larger, something beyond himself. His spear thrusts, his commands ring out, his eyes never waver. Around him, men rally, following his courage as if it were a beacon. And you, swept along in the tide, feel the pull of that same flame. Time stretches. Minutes feel like hours, hours like moments. Dust rises thick in the air, turning the sun into a dull disk. Your throat is dry, your skin damp with sweat. Yet through the haze, you see it. The enemy lines falter, the Athenians stumble, the Thebans reel. The phalanx presses harder, the cavalry strikes deeper, and suddenly the tide shifts. What was once a wall of resistance begins to break. The sacred band, proud to the last, fights desperately, but even they cannot hold. Alexander drives through them, his horse surging, his spear finding its mark. And in that moment, you see him transformed. He is no longer just the student of Aristotle, no longer just the son of Philip. He is a commander. He is Alexander. The boy of Pella has stepped into history. When the dust settles, the plain is silent again. The cries of the wounded fade, the clash of steel falls away, and only the sound of the wind remains. You stand beside Alexander, his chest rising and falling, his eyes scanning the field. Victory is his, but his face is not boastful. It is solemn, thoughtful, as though he feels both the weight of triumph and the shadow of what it costs. His father approaches, pride shining in his eyes, and for a brief moment the two stand together, the dream of Macedon alive in both. Breathe deeply now. Let the image fade, the battlefield dissolving into the quiet of the night. Feel your body soften, the muscles loosen, the weight of the day slipping away. The Battle of Chirona is over, but its echo lingers, carrying you deeper into the story, deeper into rest. Alexander has proven himself. The road ahead stretches long, filled with glory and loss, with triumph and mystery. And you, carried by the flow of time, will walk it with him. The night holds you. The journey continues. You are safe. You are drifting. The story whispers on. Chapter 6. Shadows in the Palace. The death of Philip. Take a slow breath. Let it fill you gently. Then let it go. The air feels cooler now. The story has shifted. You are no longer on the battlefield of Chirona. You are back in the palace at Pella, where shadows stretch long across the walls, where whispers gather in the corners, and where the sound of footsteps echo through halls lined with stone. Something is changing. Something is waiting. The great king, Philip II, who forged Macedon into a weapon, who dreamed of uniting Greece, is walking into his final hours. You are there, moving silently beside him, watching as the threads of destiny tighten around the palace like a net. The torches flicker in the corridors, their smoke curls upward in twisting patterns, and you catch the faint smell of oil and soot. Outside, the night is still, but inside the palace there is restlessness. Servants hurry with nervous energy. Nobles gather in hushed conversations. You hear the low murmur of voices, broken by sudden silences when someone approaches. The air tastes of tension, metallic and sharp, like the edge of a blade before it falls.
Philip prepares for celebration.
His daughter is to be wed, and the palace is alive with feasting, music, and wine. You walk through the banquet hall. The sound of lyres drifts softly, blending with laughter that feels just a little too loud, too brittle. The air is heavy with the smell of roasted meat, sweet fruits, and spiced wine. But beneath the surface, beneath the music and the laughter, you sense something else. It is like a current underwater, unseen but undeniable. It pulls at you. It warns you. The night does not belong to joy. The night belongs to fate. You see Philip, tall and commanding, the scar across his eye lit faintly by torchlight. He moves among his guests with the ease of a man accustomed to power, his voice strong, his gestures confident. He drinks, he laughs, he promises. But as you walk close beside him, you notice something in his expression when he thinks no one is watching. A flicker of weariness, a shadow of thought. He has achieved so much, an army unmatched, a Greece nearly united, a son ready to take the world. And yet, perhaps deep inside, he knows that dreams this large are rarely lived fully by one man alone. The night grows late. The banquet spills out into the courtyard where torches cast golden circles onto the ground. Guests move in clusters, their robes whispering as they pass, their words low and secretive. You drift among them, catching fragments. Ambition, jealousy, resentment. Some fear Philip's power, some envy it, some whisper about Alexander, about what his role will be in the years to come. The air grows heavier with every passing moment, as though the palace itself knows what is coming. And then, morning. The sun rises clear and bright, as if mocking the darkness that waits. The wedding procession forms. You walk in the crowd, the sound of sandals shuffling on stone, the scent of incense wafting in the air. Musicians play flutes and lyres, their notes bright, almost fragile against the weight of expectation. Philip walks at the center, his cloak flowing, his head high. The people cheer, their voices rising in waves. To see him is to see strength, to see a man who has bent fate to his will. But fate is not always willing to bend forever. You walk closer. You hear his footsteps, firm and steady. You hear the crowd, their cries echoing against the walls. And then, in an instant, the sound changes. A movement, too quick to see clearly, a figure stepping from the shadows, a flash of steel, a cry that cuts through the morning air. The blade finds its mark. Philip staggers. His body twists, his hand reaching out as if to grasp the air itself. His voice catches in his throat. And then, silence. The crowd gasps. Screams rise, sharp and piercing. Soldiers rush forward. The assassin is cut down, his blood mingling with the blood of the king. But it does not matter. The deed is done. The great king falls. The dream he carried spills out across the stones, fragile, uncertain, like a flame struggling in the wind. You kneel beside him. You see his face pale, his eyes dimming. The scar that once marked him as unbreakable now seems like a reminder that all men, even kings, are mortal. His breath falters. His chest stills. The torches flicker, the air grows heavy, and in the silence that follows you hear only the whisper of the wind, as if the gods themselves are bearing witness. And then, footsteps, strong, steady, deliberate. Alexander enters. He does not hesitate. His eyes scan the scene, the blood, the body, the chaos. For a moment he kneels beside his father. There is no time for tears, no space for grief, only a flicker of something in his eyes, a fire that catches quickly, that spreads, that consumes. He rises, and with him rises the dream. It does not die with Philip. It does not end on the stones of Pella. It shifts, it changes hands, it becomes something even greater. You stand beside Alexander now. The nobles look to him, some with fear. He does not flinch. He does not falter. The boy who listened to his mother's stories, who studied under Aristotle, who rode at Chirona, is no longer simply a prince. He is king. He is the bearer of a destiny larger than himself. Breathe slowly. Feel the story settle around you like a cloak. The palace grows quiet again. The shadows lengthen. The whispers fade. Philip is gone. Alexander remains, and the world will never be the same. Let your body grow heavy. Let your eyes drift. The story will continue. You are safe. You are drifting. The night carries you deeper, and the footsteps of history echo softly in your mind. Chapter 7. The Unification of Greece. Breathe in gently. Let the air fill you, cool and slow. Breathe out, letting your body soften, your chest relax, your shoulders sink into the surface beneath you. The story carries you forward, drifting across the silence of the night. Philip is gone. His voice is no longer heard in the halls of Pella. His dream lingers like a flame flickering in the wind. And now, that flame passes into the hands of his son. Alexander, still so young, barely more than a boy in the eyes of some, steps forward into a world of uncertainty. The throne is his, the crown rests on his head, but Greece, restless and proud, does not bow easily. Tonight you will walk beside him as he begins the work of unification. Tonight you will feel the tension of cities rising in defiance, and the steady, unyielding will of a king who refuses to let the dream slip away. The palace at Pella is quiet after the storm. The corridors echo with hushed voices. Servants move carefully, their eyes lowered, as though even the walls themselves are grieving. Philip's absence is heavy, but Alexander's presence fills it quickly. You walk beside him now through those same halls. His steps are firm, his shoulders squared. There is no hesitation in him. Perhaps the gods have whispered courage into his ear. Perhaps the fire planted by Olympus and sharpened by Aristotle now burns too brightly to be dimmed. Whatever the cause, you feel it as you walk with him. An energy, a resolve, a certainty that destiny has chosen him, and he will not step aside. But outside the palace, the world tests him. News spreads quickly, carried by riders, whispered in markets, shouted in city squares. Philip is dead. Macedon is vulnerable. The Greek city-states stir like a hive of bees struck by a stone. In Athens, voices rise, proud and eager, claiming that Macedon's power will crumble without Philip's hand. In Thebes, murmurs swell into shouts, defiance gathering like a storm. Other cities watch and wait, balancing hope and fear, wondering if the boy king can truly command what his father forged. The air across Greece is charged, restless, alive with uncertainty. Alexander does not wait. He knows hesitation is death. He gathers his army, the same men who marched with Philip, the same men who felt the weight of victory at Chirona. They look at him, some with doubt, some with curiosity, some with loyalty that flickers but is not yet burned into certainty. He mounts his horse, his armor gleaming in the sun, and speaks to them. His voice is clear, steady, carrying across the field. He tells them that he is not only the son of Philip, but the heir to his dream. He tells them that the gods themselves have marked him for greatness. And as you stand among the soldiers, hearing the words roll over you, you feel the same pull, the same fire. Doubt softens. Belief takes root. The army moves. You march with him southward, across valleys and mountains, through villages that smell of smoke and bread, past rivers that glimmer in the sun. The rhythm of footsteps on stone roads becomes a kind of music, steady, hypnotic, carrying you deeper into the story. The air shifts as you approach the cities of Greece. Athens hesitates, its leaders speaking bold words, but stopping short.
They remember Chirona. They remember the force of Macedon's phalanx.
And so they watch, waiting, unwilling to risk everything. But Thebes does not bow. The city rises in defiance, its walls strong, its people fierce, its pride unbroken. You stand before the gates with Alexander. The air is tense, the silence before a storm. Thebes believes the boy king is weak, that he will retreat, that Macedon will fracture. But Alexander does not falter. He gives the order, and the siege begins. The days are filled with the sounds of war, the crack of wood as siege engines strike, the thrum of arrows in the air, the shouted commands, the clash of shields. You feel the heat of the sun on your neck, the dust in your lungs, the weight of time stretching as days bleed into nights. Thebes resists fiercely, its people determined, its walls stubborn. Yet Alexander's will is sharper than stone. Slowly, steadily, the defenses weaken. And then, the final push. The walls crumble, the gates fall, and Macedon pours into the city. You walk among the soldiers, the air filled with the cries of battle, the acrid smell of smoke and fire. Thebes falls. Its pride is broken. The streets are silent again, but not with peace silent, with the heavy stillness of defeat. Alexander makes an example of the city, its destruction a message carved not into parchment, but into stone and memory. Let no one doubt. Let no one mistake. Macedon is not weak. The dream does not die with Philip. The dream lives, fierce and unyielding, in the sun. News spreads again, faster this time, carried on every road, whispered in every marketplace. Thebes has fallen. The boy is no boy. He is a king. He is a force. Across Greece, resistance melts away. Cities bow, some willingly, some grudgingly, but all bow. The council at Corinth is called, and Alexander is named hegemon, leader of the Greeks. The title carries more than honor. It carries the command to march against Persia, to take Philip's dream across the sea. You stand in the hall at Corinth, the air thick with incense and the murmurs of gathered statesmen. Alexander stands tall, his voice steady, his presence undeniable. The dream has passed fully into his hands. But pause now. Take a breath. Let the images soften. The walls of Thebes crumble into mist. The cheers of Corinth fade into silence. You are lying here, safe, calm, drifting. The story flows around you like water. Alexander has united Greece, not by chance, not by luck, but by fire, by will, by the unshakable certainty of destiny. You feel it settle into you too, that sense of resolve, that sense that what is meant will not be stopped. Chapter 8. The Crossing of the Hellespont. Take a long breath in, hold it for just a moment, and release. The air around you softens, the tension drifts away. The story carries you onward, steady as the tide. Greece lies behind us now. Thebes has fallen. Athens has bowed. The Council of Corinth has crowned Alexander as the leader of a united Greece. The dream of Philip has been secured, but dreams do not rest. They move, they expand, they demand more. And now, Alexander's gaze turns eastward, across the waters of the Hellespont, where the land of Asia waits. You walk with him to the shore. The dawn is just breaking, the horizon painted in soft strokes of rose and gold. The sea is calm, a mirror reflecting the sky, the air filled with the faint tang of salt. Ships line the coast, their sails furled, their wooden hulls creaking softly in the morning breeze. Soldiers gather, their armor catching the light, their voices hushed as if they too sense the magnitude of this moment. Behind them lies Greece, familiar, known. Before them lies Persia, vast, unknown, a world of empires and treasures, of deserts and rivers, of kings who call themselves rulers of the earth. Alexander steps forward. He wears no crown, no heavy robe. His armor gleams, but it is simple, practical, made for movement and battle. His eyes scan the water, the endless stretch of blue that separates two worlds. He knows this crossing is more than a journey. It is a threshold, a doorway. Once he passes through, there will be no turning back. You feel it too, the weight of it pressing softly against your chest, the sense that history itself is holding its breath. He boards the ship. You follow, the wooden planks solid beneath your feet, the faint smell of tar and pitch rising from the deck. The sails are raised, the oars dip into the water, pulling steadily, rhythmically. The ship glides forward. The sea ripples. The shore of Greece begins to fade behind you. The sound of gulls echoes faintly, their cries sharp against the vast silence of the morning. The Hellespont stretches wide, but not endless. You can see the coast of Asia in the distance, a faint line that grows slowly closer with each stroke of the oars. Alexander stands at the prow, the wind tugging at his cloak, his eyes fixed ahead. He says little. His silence speaks louder than words. You sense in him not doubt, not fear, but a deep, steady calm. He knows the stories. He knows that generations before, the Persians had crossed this same water, bringing war into Greece. They had come with fire and arrogance, and they had been turned back. Now, Alexander crosses in the opposite direction, not as a defender, but as a conqueror. The cycle turns. The river of history flows both ways. The ship glides steadily, the water lapping against the hull, the rhythm almost like a lullaby. You breathe with it, slow, even. In, out. The journey feels timeless, as though you are suspended between two worlds. You are no longer in Greece, not yet in Asia. You are in the space between, the pause between breaths, the silence between heartbeats. And then the shore rises to meet you. Asia, the land of kings, of empires, of untold wealth and legend. The soldiers murmur, their voices hushed but filled with awe. This is the beginning. This is the first step into the dream that Philip carried, and Alexander now claims as his own. But Alexander does not simply step onto the land. He leaps ashore, spear in hand, and drives it into the earth. The gesture is symbolic, but it resonates like thunder. He claims the land not as an intruder, but as a rightful heir, as if the gods themselves have given it to him. You feel the vibration of the spear striking the ground, the echo running up through your feet, through your chest, settling deep inside you. This moment is more than an arrival. It is a declaration. The soldiers cheer, their voices rising, echoing across the shore. The sound rolls like waves, growing louder, stronger, until it fills the air with energy. The wind picks up, carrying the voices out across the water. The moment expands, timeless, as though all of history is watching. You feel it too. That strange mix of awe and certainty, as though you are standing at the edge of something immense. That night, a sacrifice is made. Alexander leads his men to the site of Troy, where the ruins of ancient walls still stand, weathered by centuries but alive with memory. The air is cool, the stars spread wide above you, the constellations bright and unblinking. You walk with him among the stones. The ground is uneven, the air filled with the faint scent of grass and earth. The soldiers whisper of Achilles, of Hector, of heroes who fought and fell here long ago. Alexander kneels at the tomb of Achilles, placing a wreath upon the grave. His voice is low, steady, filled with reverence. He speaks not as a king, but as a son speaking to an ancestor. I honor you, he says, his words drifting into the night air. I will walk in your footsteps. I will carry your flame. His voice lingers, soft, but you hear it as though it is meant for you too. The fire of Achilles is not only for Alexander, it is for anyone who dares to dream beyond the limits of their life. The soldiers grow quiet, their eyes reflecting the torchlight. The ruins stand silent, bearing witness. The night deepens, and you lie back upon the grass, the stones of Troy around you, the stars overhead. You feel the weight of centuries pressing gently down, not heavy, not crushing, but grounding, connecting you to something larger. You close your eyes, listening to the sound of the sea, the steady rhythm of waves against the shore. You are safe. You are drifting. The story holds you. The crossing of the Hellespont is complete. Greece is behind. Asia lies ahead. The dream has begun. Take one more breath. In, out. Let the sound of the waves carry you deeper, softer, farther into the night. The journey continues, and you are not alone. Chapter 9. The Battle of the Granicus. Number 1. Breathe slowly. Let your lungs fill with cool air, then let it go, soft and unhurried. Your eyes are heavy, your body warm, your thoughts floating like leaves on a stream. The story carries you forward, as gentle as water, as steady as time. The Hellespont lies behind us now. The boy who leapt ashore with his spear has planted his first mark on Asia. And now, the path leads inland, toward rivers and fields where the earth itself will tremble with the clash of armies. This is the Battle of the Granicus. This is the first true test of Alexander's dream. The sun rises over the land of Asia Minor. The air is crisp, filled with the scent of grass and damp soil. You stand on a ridge with Alexander, looking down at the river that cuts across the plain. The water is swift, white foam cresting on dark stones, its voice a constant murmur. On the far bank, you see them, the Persians. Rows of cavalry stretch wide, their horses stamping, their armor gleaming in the morning light. Banners ripple in the wind, bright colors against the sky. The satraps, governors of the Persian king, have gathered their strength. They wait, confident that the boy from Macedon will be stopped here, at the edge of their empire. The soldiers around you shift uneasily. The river is deep, its current strong. To charge across it into waiting cavalry seems madness. They murmur, glancing at one another, their doubt unspoken but heavy in the air. You feel it too, the instinct to hesitate, to wait, to choose another path. But Alexander does not hesitate. His eyes are sharp, his jaw set. He sees not the danger, but the opportunity. He knows the Persians expect him to wait, to falter. Instead, he will strike, swift as lightning. He mounts his horse, the great animal snorting, its muscles tense with energy. He raises his spear, his voice carrying across the ranks. It is calm, steady, but filled with fire. "Follow me," he says. Just that. Simple, direct, unshakable. And in those words, the doubt dissolves. The men look at him and believe. You feel it too, like a warmth spreading through your chest. The fear softens. The choice is made. The trumpets sound, the cavalry surges forward. The horses pound down the slope, their hooves striking the earth in rhythm, the ground trembling beneath you. Dust rises, the air thick with the scent of sweat and leather. The river rushes closer, its roar louder now, filling your ears. The charge does not slow. Alexander leads them straight into the water, his horse leaping forward, the current splashing high around its legs. You feel the shock of cold water against your skin, the surge of energy as the animals press forward. The Persians shout. Their cavalry spurs forward, hooves churning, spears lowered. The sound grows immense, the crash of water, the thunder of hooves, the rising cries of men. And then, the collision. The two forces slam together in a spray of water and dust, the noise overwhelming. Spears clash, shields splinter, horses rear, their cries piercing the air. For a moment, chaos. For a moment, everything is a blur of movement and sound. But within the chaos, Alexander is clear. You see him, shining in the spray, his spear striking true, his voice cutting through the storm. He does not linger on the edge. He drives deep, his horse pushing forward, his arm strong, his presence undeniable. He fights not as one among many, but as the heart of the army itself, beating strong, steady, unstoppable. His men rally around him, their courage drawn from his fire. The Persians resist fiercely. They are skilled riders, their armor flashing, their spears sharp. Again and again they strike, the air filled with the clash of metal, the cries of men. But Alexander does not falter. Again and again he presses forward, his movements sure, his focus unbroken. You feel the rhythm of it, the strike, the parry, the surge, the breath. It is almost like music, a dark symphony of war, steady, unyielding. Time stretches. Minutes feel long, each one filled with sound and motion. Your breath quickens, your chest tight. Yet within the storm there is also a strange calm. You realize you are safe, watching, drifting, held by the story even as it swirls around you. The battle rages, but you are not in danger. You are carried, softly, deeper, deeper still. At last the tide begins to turn. The Persians falter, their line wavers, their horses rear. The strength of Macedon, the discipline of the phalanx, the fire of the cavalry, press harder and harder. The river that once seemed an obstacle now flows behind them, cutting off retreat. Panic spreads. What began as resistance becomes flight. The Persians break. The plain grows quiet. The cries fade, replaced by the murmur of the river, steady, eternal. The dust settles. You stand beside Alexander, his chest rising and falling, his face calm, almost serene. Victory is his. The first clash with Persia, and the first triumph. Yet he does not boast. He does not linger in celebration. His eyes are already turning forward, to the horizon, to the empire that lies ahead. The soldiers cheer, their voices echoing, their joy filling the air. You hear it, but it feels distant, like a sound carried by wind. What you feel more strongly is the stillness inside yourself, the quiet sense of having passed through a threshold. Alexander has proven himself. Persia has felt his hand. The dream has moved one step closer. And you, carried by the rhythm of the story, feel yourself moving closer too. Closer to sleep, closer to rest, closer to the deep river of calm that waits within. Lie back now. Let your breath slow. Let the image of the river fade. The clash of battle dissolve into silence. The Granicus flows on, its waters unchanged by the blood spilled upon its banks, eternal, indifferent, calm. And you too flow onward, safe, soft, drifting. The battle is over. The night is yours. Chapter 10. The Pilgrimage to Troy and the Stars of Asia. Take a deep breath. Let it expand gently in your chest, and let it go. The battle at the Granicus has faded behind you. The dust, the clash of spears, the cries of men, all dissolve into silence. What remains is the steady murmur of the river, flowing endlessly, carrying the past into the sea. Ahead lies something quieter, something older, something that reaches not into war, but into memory. The land of Asia stretches wide before you, filled with cities, mountains, temples, and among these places lies Troy, the ruins of a city once immortalized in song, once bathed in fire, once lifted into eternity by poets. Alexander will go there, and you will walk beside him. The air is soft as you approach. The path winds gently upward, the ground beneath your feet warm with the sun. Grasses sway in the breeze, their tops brushing against your legs, whispering softly like voices from long ago. The sky stretches vast, a deep blue that seems endless, broken only by drifting clouds. In the distance, the ruins appear. Stones weathered by centuries, walls broken but still standing. Outlines of towers that once touched the sky. You feel the weight of them even from afar. This is not a dream, given form. Alexander moves ahead of his men, his step slow, his eyes fixed on the ruins. His face is calm, reverent, touched with something almost childlike. For him, this is not only a journey, it is a homecoming. His mother spoke of Achilles, of gods and heroes. His teacher placed Homer's Iliad in his hands, words etched into his mind like fire upon stone. Now he walks where those stories were born. You follow him closely, your breath steady, your heart quiet. The air grows cooler as you pass between the fallen walls. Shadows gather among the stones, long and soft. You hear the crunch of gravel beneath your feet, the faint call of birds circling overhead. The ruins stand silent, but not empty. You feel presence here, as though the stones themselves remember. Every broken tower, every scattered block, seems to hold a whisper of voices that once shouted in triumph, once cried in sorrow. Alexander kneels before the tomb of Achilles. The earth here is bare, the mound rising gently from the ground. He carries a wreath in his hands, woven from fresh leaves, its green vibrant against the ancient stone. He places it carefully, his movement slow, deliberate. His voice is low, steady, carried on the breeze. "Great Achilles," he says, "I honor you. You chose glory over years. You chose a name that would never fade. I too will walk your path. I too will carve my name into time." His words drift into the air, soft, reverent, yet heavy with promise. The soldiers stand in silence, their heads bowed, their armor gleaming faintly in the fading light. You bow too, feeling the solemnity of the moment, the connection between past and present, between myth and man. The air grows still, as though listening. Night falls gently over Troy. The stars emerge one by one, scattered across the sky like diamonds upon velvet. The air cools, carrying the faint scent of grass and earth. You lie back upon the ground, the ruins rising around you, the heavens above. Alexander lies nearby, his eyes fixed on the constellations. He traces them with his finger, naming them softly. Orion, Perseus, Cassiopeia. His voice is quiet, almost like a lullaby. Aristotle once spoke of the stars. He told his students that they moved not by chance, but by design, in perfect order, eternal and unchanging. He told them that to look upward was to glimpse something divine, something beyond the reach of time. And he spoke of a mystery, a truth too deep to explain fully, a connection that binds the smallest leaf to the greatest star. That truth lingers now, unspoken but present, shimmering in the silence of the night. Alexander breathes slowly, his chest rising and falling. "The gods are watching," he whispers. His voice is not loud, not meant for command. It is soft, private, as though he speaks more to himself than to anyone else. Yet you hear it, you feel it. You lift your eyes too, and for a moment you believe the stars are watching. Their light falls upon you, ancient, patient, eternal. The night deepens. The soldiers sleep, their breath steady, their bodies wrapped in cloaks. The ruins of Troy stand silent, their shadows long, their presence heavy. You remain awake, your gaze fixed on the stars, your mind quiet, your body still. Time stretches. Minutes blur into hours. The constellations wheel slowly overhead, their movement imperceptible, their order eternal. You drift between wakefulness and dream, carried by the rhythm of breath, by the whisper of the wind, by the steady pulse of the story. Alexander dreams beside you. Perhaps he dreams of Achilles, of battle, of glory. Perhaps he dreams of cities not yet built, of rivers not yet crossed, of lands not yet seen. You cannot know. But you sense the fire in him, steady, unyielding, burning brighter than the torches that flicker at the edge of the camp. It warms the night. It warms the air. It warms your chest as you breathe. And within that warmth,
The balance Aristotle spoke of. The connection he hinted at. Something higher. Something eternal. Something that binds Alexander to Achilles. Achilles to the stars to you. You do not yet know what it is, but you feel it. Deep, quiet, patient, waiting. Breathe softly now. Let your body sink deeper. Let your eyes grow heavy. The ruins of Troy fade into shadow. The stars above grow softer, their light turning into a gentle glow. The story holds you. You are safe. You are drifting. Alexander has honored Achilles. He has looked into the stars. And tomorrow he will march further, deeper into Asia, into battles and cities, into history itself. But tonight, there is only stillness. Tonight, there is only the quiet presence of ruins and stars. Rest now. The dream continues. The journey carries you. And the night is yours. Chapter 11. The Battle of Isis. Take a long, slow breath. Let the air fill you. Then let it slip away. The world around you grows quiet. Your body feels heavy, safe, at rest. The story carries you forward like a river, steady and calm. Troy lies behind us now. The ruins are silent, the stars still shining above them. Alexander has paid his tribute to Achilles, has claimed his place among heroes. And now the journey turns sharper. The Persian Empire does not sleep. Its king Darius has risen. He will not send governors alone, nor satraps with their cavalry. He comes himself, bringing an army vast enough to shake the earth. The place where they will meet is Isis. The night before the battle, you are there. The air is cool in the coastal plain. The scent of the sea lingers, salt carried on the breeze. You hear the soft rush of waves in the distance, steady and endless, like the beating of a heart. The moon is pale, silver light spilling across the camp. Macedonian soldiers rest on the ground, their cloaks pulled tight, their armor stacked neatly beside them, their minds filled with thoughts of the morning to come. You walk quietly among them, the soft crunch of earth beneath your feet. The torches flicker, their smoke curling upward. Horses shift in their lines, snorting softly, their bodies warm, their breath clouding in the cool night air. The camp is alive, yet hushed, as though everyone knows they are standing at the edge of something immense. At the center, Alexander sits awake. A small fire burns before him, its flames low, its light warm against his face. His eyes are fixed on the sparks as they rise and vanish into the dark. He does not speak, but his presence is steady, calm, unyielding. He knows what waits at dawn. He knows that Darius commands an army far larger, that the Persians outnumber him many times over. Yet he does not fear. He believes the gods are with him. He believes destiny itself walks at his side. You sit beside him, the warmth of the fire brushing your skin, the silence heavy but comforting. Morning comes slowly. The sky lightens from black to deep blue, then to the soft pink of dawn. The soldiers stir, stretching, tightening their belts, lifting their shields. The air is alive with the quiet murmur of preparation, the clink of metal, the snort of horses, the low hum of voices. The sun rises,
golden light spilling across the plain, and with it the sound of drums, distant but growing. You look up. On the horizon, the Persian army appears. They stretch wide, their numbers immense, banners fluttering in the wind, armor gleaming in endless rows. The sound of their march rolls like thunder, deep and steady. Darius himself is there, the great king, seated high on his chariot, his presence larger than life. His standard rises above the army, tall and proud, its fabric catching the wind. To see it is to feel the weight of empire, the strength of centuries. Against this, Alexander stands with far fewer men. Yet as you look at him, calm astride his horse, eyes sharp, posture steady, you feel something stronger than numbers. You feel certainty. The river cuts the field, its banks muddy, its water shallow but swift. The Persians wait on the far side, their cavalry massed, their infantry stretching as far as the eye can see. The ground trembles with their presence. The Macedonians gather, their phalanx forming, shields locking, spears bristling. You hear the sound of breathing, the steady rhythm of hearts beating in unison. The world narrows, sharpens, holds its breath. Then, Alexander moves. His cavalry surges forward, hooves pounding, the earth shaking beneath you. Dust rises, the air thick with it, the sun turning hazy in the cloud. The Persians respond, their cavalry charging to meet him, their cries filling the sky. The two forces crash together at the riverbank. The sound is immense, metal striking metal, shields splintering, voices shouting, horses screaming. Water splashes high, mud churns, bodies press and strain. Within the storm, Alexander is clear. You see him at the head, his horse pushing through the river, his spear flashing, his movements sure and swift. His voice cuts through the chaos, steady, commanding. He rides not beside his men, but before them, drawing them forward, igniting their courage with his own. The Persians press hard, their numbers vast, their strikes fierce. But the Macedonians hold, their phalanx steady, their spears a wall of iron. Step by step they drive forward. The dust thickens, the cries grow louder. Time blurs. You lose track of moments, swept into the rhythm of clash and surge, breath and heartbeat. Yet through it all, you feel safe. The story holds you. The battle is vast, immense, overwhelming, but you are only a witness, drifting, calm, carried deeper into stillness. Then, a shift. You see it. The Persian lines falter. Alexander pushes harder, driving into the heart of the enemy. His cavalry splits their ranks, cutting deep, striking like a blade. The great king, Darius, sees the danger. He hesitates. His chariot trembles beneath him. His men falter, their confidence breaking. And then, in a moment that will echo forever, he turns. The great king flees, his chariot wheels spinning, his banner falling back. The Persian army sees it. Panic spreads. What was once an unshakable wall becomes a crumbling tide. They run. The field grows silent again. The dust begins to settle. The cries fade. The river flows on, its voice unchanged, eternal. You stand beside Alexander as he surveys the field. His face is calm, but his eyes burn. He has faced the great king. He has seen him flee. He knows what it means. The dream has stepped closer. The world is opening before him. The soldiers cheer, their voices rising, filling the air. Victory is theirs. Persia has been struck. its king humbled. Yet Alexander does not linger in triumph. His gaze is already fixed beyond, to the lands yet unconquered, to the stars that still watch from above. You feel it too, the pull of the horizon, the sense that this is only the beginning. Breathe deeply now. Let the battle dissolve. Let the dust fade into silence, the cries into stillness. Feel the calm spread through your body. The great king has fled. The boy of Pella has become the conqueror of Issus. And you, carried by the story, are drifting deeper, softer, safer. The night holds you. The dream continues. Chapter 12. Egypt and the Oracle of Siwa. Close your eyes. Take a long, slow breath. Let your chest rise, then fall, soft and unhurried. Let your shoulders release. Let your body grow heavy, safe, held by the night. The story carries you forward. Issus is behind us now, the dust of battle settling into silence. The great king has fled. Persia trembles, and Alexander turns his gaze not deeper into Asia, not yet, but southward toward the land of Egypt, a land of sand and river, of temples and gods, of silence and eternity. A land where stone rises into the sky, where kings have called themselves gods, and where whispers tell of oracles that speak truths beyond the reach of mortals. You travel with him through the deserts of the Near East, the sun heavy above, the land stretching wide and endless. The air is dry, filled with dust, shimmering with heat. Yet as you move closer to Egypt, the landscape shifts. The Nile appears, winding through the sand like a green ribbon of life. Its waters shimmer, cool and endless, carrying the scent of reeds and blossoms. Villages line its banks, their fields rich with grain, their palms swaying in the breeze. You hear the murmur of water, the hum of voices, the laughter of children. It feels timeless, eternal, as though life here has flowed unbroken for thousands of years. Alexander enters Memphis, and the people gather. They do not resist, they do not fight. They welcome him. To them, he is not merely a conqueror, he is a liberator, a new pharaoh who arrives to free them from Persian rule. You walk with him through the gates, the air filled with incense, the sound of flutes and drums rising to the sky. The streets are lined with faces, eyes wide with awe, voices lifted in praise. Flowers are scattered on the ground, their scent rich, sweet, heavy in the air. The moment feels dreamlike, soft, as though Egypt itself has chosen to embrace him. In the temples, priests dress him in sacred robes. They place the double crown upon his head, the crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. They lead him into the sanctuaries where the air is thick with the smell of myrrh and frankincense, where the walls glow with painted symbols, where torches flicker and shadows dance like spirits. You stand close, the cool stone beneath your feet, the silence deep and reverent. The priests call him Pharaoh. They call him Son of the Gods. And you feel it, the merging of Alexander the man with Alexander the myth, the line between mortal and divine growing thin. But even in this embrace there is something more he seeks. Not titles, not crowns, not gold or temples, something deeper. A truth whispered by his mother in childhood, a flame planted by Aristotle in his lessons, a mystery that lingers still. And so he turns west into the desert, toward the Oracle of Siwa. You travel with him across the sands. The air shimmers with heat. The dunes rise and fall, endless waves of gold. The sky is vast, a pale blue dome without end. The sun burns. Yet the silence is greater than the heat. It wraps around you, soft, immense, eternal. The wind shifts the sand beneath your feet, whispering in low tones, like voices too ancient to understand. The march is slow, steady, each step heavy, each breath measured. Yet within the silence, you feel something growing, not weariness, not doubt, but presence. Days pass, nights fall. You lie beneath a canopy of stars brighter than you have ever seen. The desert air is cool now, carrying the scent of stone and dust. The sky stretches endlessly, constellations glittering, their light sharp, pure, eternal. Alexander lies awake beside you, his eyes fixed upward, his breath steady. Perhaps he thinks of Achilles. Perhaps he thinks of the mystery Aristotle whispered, the connection, the harmony, the truth beyond reason. Perhaps he feels the same as you, small, yet part of something infinite. At last the oasis appears. Palm trees rise against the horizon, green and alive, their leaves swaying in the breeze. Water glimmers, reflecting the sun, cool and clear. The air carries the scent of blossoms, of life, hidden within the desert's endless silence. The temple of the oracle stands nearby, its stones weathered, its walls marked with time. You feel it before you see it, a presence, deep and ancient, waiting. Alexander enters, you follow. The air inside is cool, heavy with incense, thick with silence. Shadows cling to the walls, broken only by the flicker of oil lamps. The priests move slowly, their eyes lowered, their voices murmuring in chants too old to understand. Alexander walks steadily, his face calm, his eyes bright. He approaches the chamber of the oracle. The voice speaks. It is low, steady, echoing from somewhere unseen, from somewhere beyond. You cannot hear the words clearly. You cannot grasp the meaning. Only Alexander hears. Only he understands. His face changes, not with shock, not with fear, but with recognition, as though he has been told something he already knew deep inside. The priests bow. The chamber grows still. The oracle has spoken. When he emerges, the desert sun greets him. His men watch, their faces filled with curiosity. But Alexander says little. He does not reveal what was told. He carries it within him, silent, certain. Yet you feel it too. The air around him is changed, heavy, charged, alive with something unseen. The boy of Pella is now Pharaoh of Egypt, son of the gods, chosen of destiny. Night falls again. The oasis is quiet, the water reflecting the stars above. You sit beside him in the sand, the cool air brushing your skin, the silence deep and soft. He does not speak. He does not need to. The mystery remains, unspoken but alive. The same mystery Aristotle hinted at, the same truth Olympus whispered. A thread runs through it all, connecting mother to son, teacher to student, hero to conqueror. It is not yet clear, but it is present, waiting, patient. Breathe slowly now. Feel the desert air fill your lungs. Hear the silence stretch around you. The oracle has spoken. The pharaoh has risen. The dream carries on. And you, safe in the flow of the story, drift deeper, softer, farther into the night. The journey continues. Chapter 13, Gaugamela, the decisive battle. Take a slow breath. Let the air expand gently in your chest, and let it go. Feel the heaviness of your body sinking into stillness. The story carries you onward, steady, inevitable, like the march of time. But his journey does not end there. His gaze turns east again, toward the heart of the Persian Empire, toward the great King Darius, who gathers the strength of an empire for one last stand. The place is Gaugamela. The moment is vast, and you will be there, walking beside Alexander as the fate of nations trembles in the balance. The road stretches long across plains and mountains, the air shifting from the dry winds of desert to the open fields of Mesopotamia. You walk with the army, the sound of thousands of feet steady on the earth, the rhythm constant, hypnotic. Horses snort, their hooves striking stone. Spears glint in the sunlight, their points sharp, their shafts long. The phalanx moves like a living wall, steady and unbroken. Days blur into nights, nights into days. The march is endless, but the purpose is clear. Ahead lies Darius. Ahead lies the empire. As you draw closer, the whispers begin. Travelers and scouts bring word of the Persian army. Vast, they say. Endless, they say. Men from every corner of the empire. Bactrians and Scythians, Indians and Babylonians. Cavalry swift as the wind, infantry thick as the forest. Elephants looming like mountains. The great king has gathered them all. His chariots are armed with scythes, their blades jutting out, sharp enough to slice men in half. His numbers are overwhelming, too great to count. The Macedonians listen in silence. Fear touches their eyes. Yet when they look to Alexander, the fear dissolves. His presence steadies them. His certainty anchors them. You feel it too. The night before the battle, the army camps on the plain. The air is cool, filled with the hum of insects, the faint rustle of grass. The moon rises silver, casting long shadows across the tents. You walk among the soldiers, hearing their murmurs, their prayers, their quiet conversations. Some sharpen blades, some whisper to the gods. Some sit silently, staring into thick with the knowledge that tomorrow may bring death, may bring glory, may bring both. At the center of camp, Alexander sleeps, calmly, deeply. His breath steady, his face untroubled. The generals gather around, anxious, restless. They debate strategies, weigh dangers, imagine defeat. At last, one wakes him. He rises, his eyes clear, his body refreshed. "Why do you wake me?" he asks softly. The battle will not wait, but destiny does not flee. Sleep is the gift of the gods, and I have accepted it. His voice soothes them. His calmness spreads like water over fire. You feel it too, the stillness within him wrapping around you like a cloak. Morning. The sun rises over the plain of Gaugamela. The air is sharp, the horizon wide and endless. The Persian army stretches before you, vast beyond measure, their banners rippling, their ranks endless. Chariots gleam, horses rear, elephants loom. The ground trembles with their presence, the sound of their drums deep and rolling, like thunder. Darius sits high on his chariot, the symbol of empire, the shadow of centuries of Persian power. Against this ocean of men, Alexander brings only 35,000. Yet, as you look at him, calm astride his horse, his eyes sharp as steel. You feel that he carries more than numbers. He carries inevitability. The soldiers form ranks. The phalanx stretches wide, shields locked, spears bristling like a forest of iron. The cavalry gathers at the wings, their horses stamping, their breath steaming in the cool air. Alexander rides before them, his voice carrying. He speaks not with long speeches, but with few words, clear and direct. He reminds them that they have faced greater numbers before, that they have stood against empires before. He reminds them that they fight not only for him, not only for Macedon, but for themselves, for glory, for immortality. His words settle into them, heavy and steady. You feel them too, like a fire low in your chest. Then, silence. The two armies face one another across the plain, the distance between them heavy, charged, alive. Time seems to pause, the air thick with anticipation. You hear your own breath, slow, steady. You hear the heartbeat of the earth itself. And then, movement. The Persians surge forward, their chariots racing across the field, their cavalry sweeping wide. The ground shakes, the air fills with the sound of hooves, the clash of wheels, the cries of men. Alexander waits. His phalanx holds. The spears bristle, the shields stand firm. The scythed chariots thunder closer, their blades gleaming, their horses foaming. But at the last moment, the Macedonian lines part, channels opening like streams through a forest. The chariots charge through, harmless, trapped, swarmed by soldiers, brought down. The threat dissolves like mist in the sun. Then Alexander moves. His cavalry surges forward, his own horse leaping at the front. He aims not at the wings, not at the edges, but at the heart, at Darius himself. The Persians resist fiercely, their numbers pressing, their lines bending. But Alexander pushes harder, his presence pulling his men forward, his spear flashing, his voice commanding. The phalanx advances, steady, unbroken. The Persian lines waver. You see it, the moment. Darius trembles. His chariot shakes, his eyes dart. He hesitates. And then, as at Issus, he flees. The great king, ruler of an empire that stretched from the sea to the mountains, turns and runs. His army sees it. Their courage breaks. Their ranks collapse. What was once an ocean becomes a flood, men scattering, fleeing, abandoning the field. The noise fades. The dust settles. The plain grows quiet again. The cries of battle vanish into silence. Only the wind remains, carrying the smell of dust and sweat, the faint sound of groaning earth. You stand beside Alexander. His face is calm, his eyes steady. He has broken the empire. He has shattered the power of Persia. The world lies open before him, yet in his expression there is no arrogance, no gloating, only focus, only fire. Only the certainty that this is not the end, but a step. Breathe slowly now. Let the image fade. Let the noise of battle dissolve into silence. The plain of Gaugamela stretches empty, calm, endless. The story carries you deeper, softer, safer. Alexander has faced the great king for the last time. The empire is his. And you, carried by the flow of the story, drift deeper into rest, into quiet, into sleep. Chapter 14. The Burning of Persepolis. Breathe deeply. Let the air move softly into your lungs. Hold it for a moment, and then release. Feel your body loosen, your thoughts quiet. Your eyes grow heavy. The story carries you forward gently, like a tide that never hurries yet never stops. Gaugamela lies behind us now. The great King Darius has fled, his armies broken, his power shattered. The empire that once stretched from the Aegean to the mountains of India lies open, waiting. And Alexander, calm and steady, moves onward to Persepolis, the shining capital, the jewel of Persia, the city of kings. You travel with him across the plains of Mesopotamia, through mountains and valleys, the days long, the nights filled with stars. The army marches, steady, their footsteps a rhythm that echoes like a drumbeat through time. Villages fall silent as he passes. Cities open their gates. The shadow of Macedon spreads wider, softer, heavier with each step. Yet Persepolis is different. Persepolis is not only a city, it is a symbol. It is the heart of Persia, the throne of kings, the place where generations of rulers carved their power into stone. The road winds upward, through highlands, across rivers, beneath skies that stretch vast and endless. At last you see it. Persepolis rises from the earth like a dream given form. Its walls gleam pale in the sunlight, massive and proud. Its terraces climb the slope, crowned by palaces and halls that seem to float against the sky. Columns rise tall, carved with figures of men and beasts, their details sharp, their scale immense. The gate of all nations stands wide, its stone guardians silent, their eyes unblinking, watching across centuries. You feel their weight as you pass beneath, the air cool in their shadow, the silence deep and reverent. Alexander walks through the gates. His soldiers follow, their eyes wide, their voices hushed. The halls of Persepolis stretch vast around you, filled with treasures, filled with silence. Gold gleams in the torchlight. Jewels glitter like captured stars. The air smells of cedar and incense, faint but rich, heavy with age. Every step echoes, the sound lingering, as though the stone itself remembers each foot that has passed before. This is no ordinary conquest. This is the taking of an empire's soul. The people watch in silence. Some bow, some stand still, their faces unreadable. They know their world has ended. They know another has begun. You walk among them, the air thick with a mixture of fear, awe, and resignation. Alexander does not gloat. His face is calm, his gaze steady. He knows what Persepolis means. He knows it is more than walls and treasure. It is the memory of Persia, the pride of its kings, the symbol of its greatness. For a time he leaves it standing. The halls remain filled with treasure. The columns rise unbroken. The city breathes, though under new rulers. But then a night comes that changes everything. The air is cool, the sky dark, filled with stars. A feast is held in the halls, the torches burning bright, the air heavy with wine and laughter. Musicians play softly, their notes drifting like smoke into the night. The soldiers drink, their voices loud, their joy unrestrained. At the center, Alexander sits, his face flushed, his eyes alive with fire. He listens, he drinks, he speaks. Around him, companions laugh, jest, recall the battles fought, the victories won. But then a whisper, a suggestion. Some say it came from a courtesan, others from his generals. Some say it was born from the wine itself, from the fire in his blood. The whisper is simple. Burn it. Burn Persepolis. Burn the symbol of Persia. Burn the memory of its kings. A final act, not of conquest alone, but of vengeance. At first he hesitates. His eyes grow distant. Perhaps he sees the columns, the carvings, the halls built with such care. Perhaps he thinks of what is lost when fire comes. But then, the fire within him answers. His hand rises. His voice commands. And the torches are lifted. The flames spread quickly. They catch on wood, on cloth, on the treasures of the halls. Smoke rises, thick and black, curling into the sky. The fire grows, fierce and wild, its roar filling the night. The columns glow in the light, their shadows stretching long. The gold melts, the jewels crack, the air filled with the sound of stone breaking, wood collapsing, fire devouring. You stand in the courtyard, the heat brushing your skin, the smoke filling your lungs. The night is alive with fire, the stars hidden by smoke, the sky painted red and orange. The city cries in silence, its greatness dissolving into ash. The soldiers cheer, their voices loud, their joy fierce. To them it is vengeance, it is triumph, it is the end of Persia. But to you, standing still, watching, it feels different. It feels heavy, sorrowful, immense. Alexander watches too. At first his eyes shine with firelight, his face alive with energy. But slowly, as the flames climb higher, his expression changes. His joy fades. His gaze grows distant. The fire crackles, the halls collapse, the smoke rises into the heavens. And in his silence, you sense something deeper. Regret. Not for the act itself, perhaps, but for what it means, for what is lost, for what can never return. The night stretches long. The fire does not fade quickly. It devours. The city that once gleamed, that once stood as the pride of Persia, lies silent, broken. Persepolis is no more. Morning comes. The air is heavy with smoke, the ground littered with ash. The soldiers move quietly now, their voices low, their joy dimmed. The sky is pale, the sun weak through the haze. Alexander walks among the ruins. His steps are slow, his face unreadable. He does not speak. The silence is louder than words. You walk with him. The stones are warm beneath your feet, the air still carrying the scent of fire. The ruins rise around you, scarred, broken, silent. You feel the weight of it, the end of a world carved into stone. And yet, you also feel the pull of what remains, the fire within Alexander, the dream that burns, still, unyielding. Persepolis is gone. The empire is his. The road stretches onward. Chapter 15. Toward the east, into India and the unknown. Breathe in slowly. Let the air move deep into your chest. Hold it for just a moment. And breathe out, soft, unhurried, releasing all tension. The story carries you forward, steady as the river of time. Persepolis lies behind us now, its columns blackened, its treasures turned to ash. Persia has fallen. The empire is broken. Alexander has taken its heart, and yet his dream does not end there. For him, the world is not enough until every horizon is crossed. He turns his gaze eastward, into lands whispered of but never seen by Greeks. Lands of great rivers, of strange creatures, of kings who worship gods unlike any he has known. lands that the Greeks call India. The march begins across deserts and mountains, across plains that stretch farther than the eye can see. You travel with him, the army moving like a river of bronze and leather, endless, steady, unyielding. The sun rises hot and heavy, the days long, the air filled with dust. Yet at night, the sky glitters with unfamiliar stars, constellations strange, their patterns unmarked by grief. The cool air brushing your skin. The silence deep. You feel both small and infinite, part of something far beyond yourself. Weeks blur into months. Cities fall, some opening their gates, some resisting, only to be swept aside. Rivers wind through valleys, their waters wide and swift, their surfaces alive with light. The land grows greener. Trees rise tall, their branches heavy with fruit. The air thickens, heavy with the scent of blossoms and rain. Birds call from the canopy, their cries sharp, unfamiliar, echoing into the forest. The world feels alive, breathing, immense. At last, you reach the banks of the Hydaspes. The river is vast, its waters rolling strong, its far bank lined with trees. Mist rises in the early morning, curling like smoke, soft and ghostly. The air smells of rain, damp and rich. And across the water you see them, the army of King Porus. Tall men astride tall horses, their armor glinting, their voices carrying. And among them, something greater. Elephants. Massive, towering, their tusks long, their hides dark and wrinkled, their eyes ancient. They move slowly, their feet pressing into the earth with a weight that shakes the ground. To see them is to feel awe, to feel fear. These are not beasts of Greece, these are creatures of another world. The Macedonians murmur, their voices filled with unease. They have never faced such creatures. They know the strength of horses, the charge of cavalry, but elephants are different. Elephants are mountains that move. Their sheer presence is enough to shake courage. Yet Alexander looks across the river, his face calm, his eyes steady. He sees not monsters, he sees only another challenge, another horizon to cross. Night falls on the banks of the Hydaspes. The river murmurs steadily, its voice deep, eternal. The army rests, but Alexander does not. He walks along the shore, silent, his eyes scanning the water, the trees, the shapes of the enemy camp beyond. You follow him, the damp earth cool beneath your feet, the air heavy with mist. He stops, his gaze fixed on the current. "We will cross," he whispers. His voice is steady, certain. You feel it, the inevitability, the fire within him that no river, no elephant, no king can quench. The crossing comes with storm. Rain lashes the earth, the river swollen, the air filled with thunder. The soldiers move quietly, their oars dipping into the dark water, their cloaks heavy with rain. Lightning flashes, illuminating the wide river, the mist curling thick around you. The boats move steady, the current pulling, the storm fierce. Yet Alexander stands tall, unshaken, his presence steady as stone. You reach the far bank. The rain softens, the mist clings. The army forms, shields lifted, spears bristling. The elephants loom ahead, their cries echoing, their massive bodies shifting. And then, silence. A pause before the storm. The earth holds its breath. Then it begins. The elephants surge forward, their trunks raised, their tusks gleaming. Their cries fill the air, deep, resonant, shaking your chest. The ground trembles with their steps, each one heavy as thunder. The cavalry of Porus charges, their horses swift, their cries fierce. The Hydaspes roars behind you, the storm above rumbles, the world alive with sound. The Macedonians stand firm. The phalanx lowers its spears, the lines steady, the shields locked. The elephants crash into them, their tusks tearing, their trunks sweeping, their sheer weight pressing. The air is filled with the sound of splintering wood, the cries of men, the trumpeting of beasts. Horses rear, soldiers fall, the earth becomes mud beneath the storm of bodies. Yet still, the phalanx holds. The spears bite deep, the soldiers move steady, the discipline unbroken. Alexander rides at the head, his cavalry striking at the flanks. His spear flashes, his commands ring out, his movements certain. He moves like water, flowing, striking, retreating, striking again. The elephants rage, their cries, their bodies massive. Yet slowly, steadily, they falter. The phalanx presses harder, the cavalry cuts deeper. The storm of battle grows fierce, then softens, then shifts. King Porus fights tall upon his elephant, his voice carrying, his courage fierce. He does not flee, does not falter. His men fight around him, their loyalty deep, their strength immense. Yet even he cannot withstand forever. At last he falls, his army broken, his elephants scattered, his dream ended. The plain grows quiet again. The rain softens, the mist lifts. The river flows steady, unchanged. You stand beside Alexander, his chest rising and falling, his eyes steady. He has crossed the Hydaspes. He has faced elephants. He has faced a king as proud as any. And he has triumphed. But in his face there is no arrogance, no joy of conquest. Only stillness, only thought. He looks eastward, beyond the river, toward horizons not yet seen. He dreams of more, of lands farther still, of oceans beyond reach. Yet his men are weary, their faces heavy, their bodies worn. They murmur, they plead, enough, enough. Their voices rise, soft but firm. Enough. And so at last he stops. The dream stretches farther, but the march ends here. He builds altars on the banks of the river, stones piled high, a mark of how far he has come. He honors the gods, honors the journey, honors the dream. Then he turns back westward toward home. Breathe deeply now. Let the river fade from your mind. Let the cries of elephants dissolve into silence. The mist lifts. The plain grows still. The storm ends. You are safe. You are calm. The story holds you. You drift deeper, softer, farther into rest. Alexander has crossed into the unknown, and you have walked with him. The night carries you onward. The dream flows on. Chapter 16. The Long Road Home and the Death of Alexander. Take a breath. Let it move gently into your lungs, then let it slip away. Your eyes warmer, ready to drift. The story carries you onward. The Hydaspes has faded. The elephants have retreated into mist. The altars rise on the farthest banks of India, marking the edge of the known world. Alexander dreamed of more, of oceans beyond, of lands unseen. But his men were weary. Their voices rose, quiet but unyielding. Enough, they said. Enough. And for the first time, Alexander turned back. The road home began. The march westward is long, endless, filled with silence and shadow. The army retraces its steps through jungles heavy with rain, across rivers swollen with storm, through lands scarred by battle. Yet the return is not easy. The path home is harder than the conquest. Hunger gnaws, thirst burns, sickness spreads. The soldiers walk, their eyes heavy, their bodies thin. You walk with them, the earth hot beneath your feet, the sun unrelenting above. At last, Alexander chooses a path few would dare. The Gedrosian desert, a land of sand and stone, of heat so fierce it burns the breath from your chest, of silence so vast it seems eternal. The army enters, the dunes rising like waves, the air shimmering, the sky white with sun. Day after day they march, the sand shifting beneath their feet, the wind dry, the water scarce. Men fall, their bodies too weak, their voices too faint. Horses collapse, their breath shallow, their eyes dull. The desert swallows them, silent, unyielding. You walk beside Alexander. His face is calm, but his body wearies too. His lips crack, his skin burns, his eyes grow hollow. Yet he does not stop. He does not turn. He marches with his men, step for step, bearing what they bear, suffering what they suffer. One day, a helmet filled with water is brought to him, precious, rare, life itself. He looks at it, his hand is steady. Then he pours it into the sand. His men watch in silence. He has nothing more than they have, no less.
The sea greets them, its waters blue, its air cool. The soldiers weep, their voices soft, their bodies trembling with relief. Alexander stands on the shore, his eyes fixed on the horizon. He has lost many, yet he has crossed even this. The dream endures. They march into Babylon. The city opens wide, its gates high, its walls vast. Gardens rise in terraces, green and alive. Rivers wind through the city, cool and calm, carrying the scent of reeds. The air is heavy with incense, with the sound of music, with the murmur of countless voices. Here, Alexander rests. Here, he plans. His eyes turn still farther, to Arabia, to Carthage, to lands yet unseen. He cannot stop. The fire does not fade. But his body begins to fail. The days grow heavy. Fever rises, his skin burns, his breath shortens. He lies in his chamber, the air thick with incense, the torches flickering. His generals gather, their faces grave, their voices hushed. His soldiers stand outside, silent, waiting, their eyes wide, their hearts unsteady. You sit beside him. His face is pale now, his eyes shadowed. Yet his gaze is still steady, still sharp, still alive with fire. He tries to speak. His voice is low, faint, yet it carries. To whom do I leave my empire? A general asks. His lips move, his breath is shallow. To the strongest, he whispers. The words drift into the silence, heavy, final, unshakable. The days pass. His fever deepens. His body weakens. He lifts his hand once more, gesturing for his soldiers to pass before him. One by one they enter, their eyes wet, their voices low, their hands reaching. He cannot speak, but he lifts his hand,
each man seeing it, each man touched by it. His presence remains, even as his strength fades. Night falls, heavy. The air is still. His chest rises, falters, rises again, falters once more. His breath soft, the silence heavy, the air still. The boy of Pella, the student of Aristotle, the conqueror of Persia, the pharaoh of Egypt, the dreamer of horizons, lies still. His body rests. His fire has left. Yet his dream does not end. It lingers in the air, in the stones, in the rivers, in the stars. It lingers in the men who followed him, in the lands he touched, in the memory of the world. You step outside. The night sky spreads wide above, the stars bright, endless, eternal. They watched him from the beginning. They watched him at Troy, at Issus, at Gaugamela, at the Hydaspes. They watch him now as silence falls. They will watch forever. Breathe deeply now. Let the silence settle into you. Let the fire of Alexander fade into calm. Let the weight of the story soften into quiet. He is gone, but his dream flows still, carried by time, carried by memory, carried by you. Take a slow breath in, hold it gently, and out. Feel your body soften. Feel the story cradle you. You have walked far, from the palace of Pella to the deserts of Persia, from the banks of the Hellespont to the rivers of India. You have walked beside Alexander through triumph and loss, through fire and silence. And now, his journey has ended, but yours continues here in the quiet of the night. Do you remember? Long ago, in the groves of Mieza, Aristotle whispered of a mystery. He spoke of the golden mean, of balance, of virtue. And then, softer, deeper, he hinted at something greater, a truth he did not name, a connection he left unspoken. That mystery has followed you. Through the battles, through the deserts, through the ruins, it has lingered, quiet, patient, waiting. And now, at the end, it reveals itself. The truth is this: the fire of greatness. Hashtag at Meta. Pause. Sex 0.05. It is harmony. It is knowing when to move and knowing when to rest. It is the flow of life itself. Alexander sought to master the world, but in the end, he discovered what every soul discovers, that the world is not to be mastered, only to be walked, to be felt, to be breathed. And so, his story becomes your story. His fire becomes your calm. His journey becomes your rest. Close your eyes. Imagine the stars above, endless, eternal. They watched him. They watch you. Their light is ancient, their silence deep. They remind you that you are part of something vast, something infinite. You are small, yes, but you are not alone. You are never alone. Breathe again. In, out, slow, steady. The story has ended. The night holds you. The mystery is revealed. Balance is the key. Harmony is the truth. You carry it now, within your breath, within your heart, within your dreams. You are safe. You are calm. You are drifting. Sleep comes like a river, soft, unhurried, inevitable. Let it carry you. Let it hold you. The journey is complete. The dream is eternal. Rest now. Sleep.